schools for Pool B, we have Kila Kila Secondary School against the Salvation Army Secondary School. Please welcome as they take the stage. Kila Kila Secondary School participants are Doreen Ugaya, Anna Babani, Liana Bayo, and Cassandra Isa. Please make welcome Kila Kila Secondary School. The Salvation Army Secondary School participants are Timothy Rodney, Steve Diwewia, Aldridge Bulongo, and Esther Evara. Please make welcome the Salvation Army Secondary School. The topic of discussion for this afternoon is HIV can destroy the human resource of PNG. Kila Kila is going for the topic, and the Salvation Army Secondary School is going against the topic. Now I'd like to call upon the first speaker of the affirmative side.
Good afternoon, adjudicators, timekeeper, and my beautiful audience, and not forgetting my colleague debaters, the affirmative team and the opposing team. Yes, we, the affirmative team, go for the topic and say that HIV can destroy the human resource of Papua New Guinea. I am Doreen Uga, the first speaker of the affirmative team. I'll be defining the topic. The second speaker is Anna Babani, and she'll be talking on the socio-cultural aspect. Liana Bai is the third speaker, and she'll be talking on the economic aspect. The last and final speaker of the affirmative team is Cassandra Isa, and she'll be summarizing the team's points. Firstly, let me define the topic. HIV is short for human immunodeficiency virus. It is a virus that weakens a person's resistance to disease. While human resource is the people, and they are the major workforce in any given society, and it is the asset of the nation. The success of Vision 2050 is contingent upon the competencies of the country's workforce. So if HIV continues to increase in our country, it will cripple the country's human resource. HIV affects the social aspect of people, which leads to other aspects being affected, like the economy. HIV imposes considerable economic and social costs on countries and people around the world, but so do many other diseases of the poor that have received less attention. Malaria and tuberculosis may impose higher costs and be easier to tackle them than HIV. So diverting resources from programs in these areas to HIV may reduce economic and social welfare. HIV-infected people as of November 2005 was 11,000. This number is increasing at an alarming rate per month. It is estimated that as many as 70,000 people are infected with HIV, according to John Kian. This is a quote from John Kian, and I quote, "We must undertake to minimize or better still eliminate the deadly HIV which is set to cripple and destroy our human resources, who are the very people to shoulder Papua New Guinea." Ladies and gentlemen, you cannot remove HIV and AIDS, it will remove you. So when it removes you, it removes human resource. Who are you? Therefore, my team and I strongly go for the topic and say that HIV can destroy the human resource of Papua New Guinea. Thank you.
Thank you, first speaker of the affirmative side. Now I'd like to call upon the first speaker of the opposing team.
Okay, first of all, thank you, Mistress of Ceremony, educators, the timekeeper, the affirmative side, and all the tiring-looking audience. Okay, as you all know that our debating topic for today is HIV can destroy human resource here in PNG, and we, the negative side, disagree with the topic. We firmly believe that HIV can never destroy the human resource here in this nation. Before I go on to introduce my team's argument, I would like to rebut to the first speaker of the affirmative. You said something about HIV and AIDS. We are not talking about AIDS here, people. We are talking about HIV. Because the topic is just HIV and not AIDS. Saying that human resource cripples, saying that HIV cripples human resource, cripples the human resource of PNG. Looking at the statistics, it's just the minority that are affected, which I will stress on later. Okay, to define the topic, HIV, we all know that it's a human immunodeficiency virus. Okay, HIV is a germ. It's basically a germ. And let me just differentiate HIV from AIDS. HIV is a germ, and HIV is the condition of depression. Now that should be clear enough. Okay, looking at human resource, the resource itself, according to Oxford Linus Dictionary, is a supply of something that a country, organization, or person can use, especially to increase their wealth. Okay, in this case, since we are looking at human resource, it's basically human resource is basically people's skills and ability in a supply of economically resourceful population that can be used to develop a nation. Okay, the word destroy is simply to damage something so badly that it cannot be used any longer, meaning that it does not exist. Okay, I am Timothy, the first speaker of the negative side. I will be going through the realities of the epidemic with statistics. My second speaker steed will be basing his argument on the workforce and policies in place. My third speaker, Ulrich, will be speaking on solutions, and my fourth speaker, Esther, would be summarizing and recommending at the same time. Okay, looking at PNG's population, according to the WHO website, which is World Health Organization, is estimated to be 6.5 million, where 1.28% of this population is affected, whereas 98.72% is not affected. So looking at it, it's just a minority that is affected and not the rest of the population that is affected. If you have purchased Sunday's Chronicles 2 days ago, which was the 6th of June, by journalist Sam Vulum, page 11, he stated that the UN estimated the workforce to be 250,000. And from this 250,000, just 21.6% are affected, whereas 78.4% are not affected. So the fact that just a minority are affected by the virus, whereas the rest of the population is not affected. So don't panic over the deteriorating rise of the disease, okay? Because also nowadays, a lot of people press the panic button and they just, like, instead of having heart attack, they have panic attacks. Anyway, so does HIV affect human resource here in PNG? No, it does not. And that's a fact, it does not. And it does not destroy the human resource here in PNG. So we, the negative side, strongly believe we the Negatives strongly believe, and we firmly say that HIV does not destroy the human resource here in PNG and can never destroy the human resource of PNG. Thank you.
Thank you, first speaker of the opposition side. Now I'd like to call upon the second speaker of the affirmative side.
Thank you, Chairperson. Good afternoon, everyone. Okay, my team and I strongly believe that HIV can destroy the human resource of Papua New Guinea. Before I go into my points, I'd like to rebut on what the first speaker of the opposing team said. The first speaker specifically said that minority affected. Isn't this minority part of our well-educated people? I mean, can't minority lead to majority? Are you saying that HIV cannot be passed? There are many reasons and ways in which HIV can be passed. And I'm going to give you some of the main points. Sorry, before I go on to my points, I'd like to give you some statistics on what HIV is doing to the rest of the world. It is known that 40 million people live with HIV around the world. In 2005, more than 4 million new HIV infections were detected. This is almost the same amount of the population we have in Papua New Guinea. Almost 3 million people had died as a result of HIV, 90% of which is found in developing countries, and Papua New Guinea is a developing country. In South Africa, 600 to 800 people die of HIV. And if Papua New Guinea doesn't do anything about HIV precautions, we can be following this, footsteps of South Africa. The HIV epidemic in PNG is very serious and is growing very quickly. PNG can learn a lot from other countries that have experienced this epidemic and the terrible effect on their people. Now to my points. My first point is gender inequality and inequality. Men having the power of dominating over women tend to force women to have sex with them. This is a major way in which HIV can be passed on. Domestic violence, rape, and sexual abuse is a major problem on the streets of Papua New Guinea. Cultural practices, we all love to put tattoos on our bodies, but we don't know what the consequences are. Polygamy, people engage in more than one wife. This is a major problem in Papua New Guinea today. Let's face it, this is reality. Men go and have sex with other women and come back and pass it on to their innocent wives and children. Mobility, immigration. A lot of villagers travel from one village to another looking for job opportunities. And when they go, they see an advantage of getting involved in sexual intercourse. Alcohol and drugs. When young people are engaged in alcohol and drugs, they tend to do stuff that they don't know has a major effect on their future. HIV and AIDS are damaging the future of Papua New Guinea. Men and women contribute in many ways to PNG culture, development, and economy, and many of these people are becoming infected with HIV and dying from AIDS. These people are community leaders, politicians, doctors, teachers, parents, children, and many, many more. We need to protect these people and prevent them from becoming infected with HIV. They are the future of Papua New Guinea. It is predicted that in 2025, more than 537,416 people will be affected with HIV in Papua New Guinea alone. And this could entirely affect the Vision 2050 because these people make up the human resource. Because of that, my team and I strongly believe that HIV can destroy the human resource of Papua New Guinea. Thank you.
Thank you, second speaker of the affirmative team. Now I would like to call upon the second speaker of the opposition side.
Okay, as we all know, our topic is HIV can destroy the human resources of PNG. Okay, as the opposition, we believe that HIV cannot destroy the human resources of Papua New Guinea. Before I go on to my points, I just like to rebut on a couple of things that our opposition have stated. Firstly, as my first speaker has mentioned, only 1.28% of the total population of Papua New Guinea is affected by HIV. Okay, this 1.28% is mostly made up of people from the rural areas. So that's not actually included into our workforce, which is the human resources of Papua New Guinea. And just to clarify this, there's a difference between HIV and AIDS. HIV doesn't kill, while AIDS does. Okay, my first point is the workplace policies in place. Given the complexity of HIV/AIDS within the workplace content, the misinformation that continues to exist, and misunderstanding, we recommend that companies develop a policy that is as thorough as possible for its particular circumstance. My second point is human rights. Okay, everyone, and that's like from the biggest person to the smallest, young to old, tall to short, all of us, we have rights. Okay, what are human rights? Human rights are rights we are all born with and are recognized internationally. Now, there are rights in relation to HIV and AIDS. There is a law that they have the rights that define the support for the protection against HIV infection. And most importantly, they have the basic right to be protected against stigmatization and discrimination. Stigmatization is derived from the root word stigma. Now, stigma is when characteristics of a person or people is seen to be different or undesirable. Discrimination is when a distinction or comparison is made against a person that results in their being treated unfairly and unjustly. A classic example of discrimination is when you refuse to employ a person who is HIV positive. That's discrimination. Okay, out of these two, I would have to say that discrimination would be, I think, one of the most dangerous out of these two, because when a HIV positive person is hit by discrimination, he or she may become fearful, feel rejected in society or feel as an outcast, may turn to drugs and alcohol, may lose the desire to live, and may spread the virus intentionally. There are also such acts as the HIV/AIDS Management and Prevention Act, or the HEMP Act, which is based on human rights and Christian principles, encourages VCT, voluntary counseling and testing, and have the same rights, and believe that all people affected by AIDS should have the same rights as anyone else. That is the right to work, housing, education, respect, all the other basic rights. Okay, our source is taken from the Anglicare Stop AIDS, HIV and PNG by Dr. John Milan. Lastly, HIV positive people are much more efficient and much more productive in a workplace than people who are addicted to drugs, gamblers, alcoholics, bitter chewers, smokers. These people, they are more effective in the workplace, while gamblers, alcoholics, and all these others, they have the potential to affect the workforce in a very negative manner. Therefore, once again, my teammates and I strongly believe that HIV cannot, I repeat, cannot destroy the human resources of Papua New Guinea. Thank you.
Thank you. Second speaker of the opposition side, Now I'd like to call upon the third speaker of the affirmative side.
Good evening, ladies and gentlemen and adjudicators. First, before I go on to my topic, I'd like to rebut on the second speaker what he said. He said that HIV does not kill people, but what you have to get is HIV leads to AIDS, and thus people who get AIDS die from HIV. So, yeah. So HIV does lead to death. If you get HIV, AIDS is the state that you are in once you acquired HIV virus. So it does lead to death. And he also said that the more productive workforce are those who have HIV. But that is looking at the short term. Let us look at the long run of these. Those who have HIV does eventually die from AIDS. And thus, those employed in the organization does leave those organizations short of skilled workers, thus impacting on the government as well as their own organization. Now, on to my point. I'll basically be talking about the economic aspect that HIV has on the workforce, human resource of PNG. As undisputably stated by my counterparts, yes, HIV can destroy the human resource of PNG. First, before I go into my points, I'd like you to get this picture in your mind. Look at me. My legs, imagine that is the household. My body is the organization, and my head is the government. There are three main avenues in economic impacts of HIV on human. The first is through the reduction in the capacity of labor force. The second avenue is through shifts in the composition of demand as households and possibly government shift expenditures towards health and medical sector. And the final avenue is through domestic savings and feeding through lower industries of our economy. So the first point, do you all have the picture in your head? My legs are a household. Okay, if a person has HIV, which can lead to AIDS, and if he dies of AIDS, okay, there is a loss of income in the family that's impacting on the family. There is a loss of income. If that person with HIV or AIDS is the breadwinner of the family. Second point, next, there is a burden that person imposes on the family. The economic burden that family has to face by bringing him to medical services that they have to cater for him while he's in the hospital. And this does further lead to the possible removal of children from schools in response to the reduced income for the family, thus catering for the sick person or that one in need. The second is the firms or organization. By employing a person who has HIV, thus leading to AIDS, and if he does die or is sick in that condition he is in, there is a reduced labor supply and reduced productivity of labor due to the morbidity. So if that person is sick, he won't apply work, or if he dies from AIDS, thus the company will be short of skilled labor force. My question to you all is, how long will it take to develop a skilled worker or to replace him? If he is an engineer or a pilot, how long will it take to educate him and bring him up to the level to that person who is in when he died? And next, there is an increased recruitment training cost and cost associated with employee benefit scams. That person employed in that company, once he is lost, it is an economic burden to the company to try to find a person who is of that specific professional level to replace him. They will thus try to find another person skilled in that office to replace him, thus having a more economic burden on it. The loss of human workforce will impact negatively on the production level of the organization as well, which does all organizations have goals and motives in which they set. So the loss of achieving the objective or goal set by the government, set by the organization will impact negatively on the company or organization. Thus, the government, by having more HIV cases reported and more HIV victims, there will be an increased demand for public spending on health and impacts of shifts in resources on other sectors. So the government will basically focus on health infrastructures, developing it for those HIV victims, and thus it will not focus on other sectors of the government like agriculture, transport system, and education. It will not develop those. It will only focus on all those, and it will not help them, yeah. So the economy will suffer because there are no basic services delivered to them. So it can be seen that HIV can destroy the human resource of the environment, of PNG. So economically wise, there has to be an availability of health and equipped human resource for the betterment of these nations. So I strongly believe that HIV can destroy the human workforce of Papua New Guinea.
Thank you, third speaker of the affirmative side. Now I'd like to call upon the third speaker of the opposing team.
Thank you, third speaker of the affirmative side. Good afternoon, everyone. Good afternoon, the judges. Just reaffirming my team's team line, we strongly go against the topic HIV does destroy our human resource. Well, I'm telling you now, it does not destroy our human resource. Before I go on to my points, I would like to rebut on some of the points stated by the affirmative side. You said that HIV, in order to get AIDS, you need to have HIV. Well, we're looking at HIV destroying our human resource. And the length of HIV development to AIDS, mind you, from the National AIDS Council Secretariat, it says that the length is 10 to 15 to 20 years. And in that 10 to 15 to 20 years, there's still productivity in that person that is affected. You said something about when people are affected by AIDS, HIV, sorry, there is lack of employment. Companies and businesses lose potential employers. Well, mind you, I have a question for you. What do you explain? How can you tell me about the graduates? Every year there's graduates. Every year graduates are graduating with degrees and are not getting a job. And there's other graduates as well that have graduated but do not have a job. If one person dies from HIV, if a doctor dies, there's 10 to 20 to 50 to 100 doctors that are not employed that can take that place. That one position only, there's hundreds of doctors waiting to get that position. There was one special, something that interested me in the booklet 2050 PNG 2050 Vision. It's in chapter 2, page 21. It says, it's titled Current Scenes and Future Scenarios. Looking at the current scenes, we say HIV is growing in our country. Well, what are we doing about it? In order to achieve the 2050 vision, we sitting here, can you listen to something? I hear the wind of change. We are here to make a difference. We are changing this country for the better, and we're going to achieve 2050 vision if you work together. Thank you.
Thank you, third speaker of the opposition side. For your information, the two schools currently debating are Kila Kila Secondary and the Salvation Army Secondary School. The topic is HIV can destroy the human resource of PNG. Kila Kila is going for the topic and the Salvation Army Secondary School is going against the topic. I'd like to call upon now the final speaker of the affirmative side.
Thank you, Mistress of Ceremony. Good afternoon, judges, timekeeper, audience, and fellow debaters. I, the fourth speaker of the government, will basically be summarizing the arguments brought forward by my teammates. First of all, before I do that, I'd just like to repeat the topic, which is HIV/AIDS can destroy the human resource of Papua New Guinea. Okay, before I go on to my summary, I'd just like to rebut on the points made by the opposition. The opposition stated that a minority of the population is affected. Well, doesn't the minority make up the workforce of our the workforce and human resource of our country? I mean, with 80 to 90% of our population living in rural areas, there leaves 10 to 20% living in urban areas, and basically that is the workforce of our country. The second speaker stated that HIV does not kill, AIDS does. Well, let me just ask you this. Doesn't AIDS develop from HIV? Okay, the third speaker of the opposition stated that it takes 10 to 15 years for AIDS to develop once you contract HIV. Well, let me tell you that the sexually active age is between 60 and maybe less to about late 40s. So let's just say if a teenager contracts the virus, wouldn't that develop into AIDS when they're in their late 20s, 30s? And doesn't that affect our human resource? Okay, the opposition also stated that we have the ART treatment. Well, if our government doesn't have money to supply regular medical drugs like chloroquine, Panadol, how can we cater for ART treatment? Okay, now back to our argument. HIV, which stands for Human Immunodeficiency Virus, is a virus that lives and causes disease in people. It basically breaks down the immune system and leaves people vulnerable to disease. As my second speaker stated, about 40 million people worldwide are living with the virus, and more than 4 million new cases were reported in 2005. Okay, the main reason why the HIV epidemic is increasing in Papua New Guinea is because of 1, poverty and unemployment, 2, gender inequality, 3, domestic violence, rape and sexual abuse, 4, cultural practices, 5, taboos, 6, mobility, 7, stigma and discrimination towards people living with HIV and AIDS, 8, high rates of STIs and teenage pregnancies, 9, low condom use and opposition to condoms, and 10, alcohol and drug use. Okay, let me tell you some ways that HIV does destroy the human resource of Papua New Guinea. Let's start at a household level. If, let's say, one of your family members contracts the virus and over time develops into AIDS and dies along the way, that's like you're losing a breadwinner, and also the country is losing their human resource and workforce. Now, at a company level, as someone who has HIV, the company loses its skilled workers, and it will impact on the productivity of an organization, and will affect the human resource development of this country. Okay. According to HIV, AIDS, and STIs in Papua New Guinea, the revised edition by Jennifer Miller and Andrew Solian, the first HIV infection was reported in 1987 in Papua New Guinea. Since then, the HIV/AIDS virus has become a very serious problem in our country, with the number of reported cases increasing each year. HIV infection has been reported in every district in every province of Papua New Guinea. In 2006, the National AIDS Council and the Department of Health promoted that 16,104 people were diagnosed with HIV. The actual number would of course be much, much greater than this, with approximately 60 to 70,000 people in Papua New Guinea with the virus. Our nation has one of the largest rates of STIs in the Pacific. HIV is not only a health problem, as my first speaker has stated, it occurs mostly in sexually active men and women between the ages of 16 to late 40s. This is basically the group that is responsible for social and economic development in Papua New Guinea. The basic fact is that there is no cure for HIV. People infected with the virus will have a shortened lifespan and will eventually die. Among them being our parents, children, our community leaders, teachers, healthcare workers, politicians, etc. Before I go on to my recommendations on how we can avoid this, how we can avoid destroying our human resource, I just like to quote this old Chinese proverb. Catch a man a fish and you feed him for a day. Teach a man to fish and you feed him for a lifetime. What that basically means is that we need to educate our young people about the dangers of HIV to avoid irrespectable sexual behavior among teenagers and even adults. We believe preventive measures such as, there has been introduced curriculum on educating our young people about the HIV and AIDS. And we also recommend that stronger laws should be made on marriage, that we should totally go against polygamy, and it basically goes against our beliefs. I mean, we Papua New Guineans say we're a Christian country. We shouldn't even be thinking or even practicing polygamy, which does bring HIV into the family and also destroys the human resource. So we must undertake to minimize or better still eliminate the deadly HIV, which is said to cripple and destroy our human resource for the very important people to shoulder Papua New Guinea. As that's said by John Kian. Okay. As you've seen in our previous debates, one of the key pillars to achieving Vision 2050 is human resource. And with HIV out there, I don't think we can achieve this vision. Therefore, we the government believe preventive measures should be taken to eradicate to minimize HIV and, in the long run, eradicate it. So as you can see by the arguments presented by my fellow debaters and myself, we the affirmative team strongly and firmly believe that HIV can and does destroy the human resource of Papua New Guinea. Thank you.
Thank you. That was the final speaker of the affirmative side. Now I'd like to call upon the final speaker of the opposing team.
Thank you, affirmative speakers, and good afternoon once again, adjudicators, mistresses of ceremony, fellow respective teachers from respective schools, audience, and not forgetting the viewers. Firstly, our topic is HIV can destroy human resource in PNG. Can destroy human resource in PNG? I, for one, and the rest of my team, the opposition, we strongly believe that HIV cannot destroy human resource in Papua New Guinea. Firstly, as already mentioned and Estevar, and I will be basically summarizing my team case and rebutting on some of the points mentioned. Firstly, definition, HIV and AIDS. We are not talking about AIDS here. You have definitely missed the plot. HIV is human immunovirus, deficiency virus, that is a bacteria that basically weakens, and it's not a disease, okay? And AIDS is a disease where you've already kicked the bucket, and in most cases, you are bedridden in the hospital. So basically, what are you talking about? I would like to rebut, and you have talked about how it cripples. Can you be specific on how HIV cripples? HIV cripples the human resource. Human resource are people that are still productive. They have a lifespan of 10 to 15 years to 20 years. Mind you, if you don't believe me, I can take you by the hand and take you down to Home Center, which is run by the Salvation Army. There are so many people with HIV that are living down there. They're productive. They are not bedridden. Please, take this and understand the fundamental. You have been rebutting and saying that you've been talking about the head of a structure of a house. Okay, you're talking about the structure of the house. What is done by the fundamental? The fundamental is done by how you live your life. HIV is not a disease that comes looking for you. It is a disease of choice, mentality problem. Papua New Guineans, not all Papua New Guineans, but nearly Papua New Guineans all have a mentality problem. Please change this mentality. HIV is a decision of choice. Minority, when you talk about minority that leads to majority, you're talking about the 0.5%. Mind you, there are 250,000 people that make up the workforce. Out of these 250,000 people, there are 6.5 million people living in PNG. And when you're talking about living in PNG, the national, I would quote my source from the National AIDS Council by Dr. Milan has shown a national trend of the rural area living with a percentage of 3.5%. And when you say this 3.5% and further substituting this 250,000 into 6.5 million, you get a 4.5%. And out of that 4.5%, you try and take out the 3.5%, which is the leading rural percentage. When you further take this out, I tell you it's 0.5%. And mind you, out of this 3.5%, not every rural person in Papua New Guinea is a workforce, okay, or a human resource. Human resource are people that have abilities and skills to produce and help develop the economy in Papua New Guinea. So, what are you basically talking about? Okay, you've been stressing on disease. Okay, HIV is not a disease, okay? It is a virus that basically not breaks down, but weakens the immune system. And you said something that there is no solution. Mind you, there is antiretroviral drugs available in therapy. And if you don't know, it is free at the Hedron Clinic. That is from one of my interviews with one of the workers down at Home Center. And she said that it's free at 3 Mile, where you can go, take a walk down, and it's one of the centers there. Okay, when you're talking about antiretroviral is a therapy or medicine. You have the virus here. When a person takes antiretroviral medicine or drugs, it goes and builds a fence or toxin, bunnies around that virus. So when it leaves the human system vulnerable for not diseases, mind you, viruses such as STIs, it basically covers it so STIs can come in and the human system is left to reproduce its white blood cells. And white blood cells don't reproduce once, but hundreds of millions of them reproduce. Thank you. To further summarize my team case, my first speaker has been talking on statistics. You can see, and you and I can't only blame the finger at HIV. HIV is a very small percentage out of the workforce. That is 0.5%. Yes, destroy. You try and define destroy. Destroy is something that is damaged and that is done away and that cannot be used again and is totally put off. I totally disagree with that. HIV, when you're looking at HIV, it is a it is something that is always people put the blame on it. When you look at other statistics with people dying, HIV is not the only virus. There are other such things in the hospital. People are dying, such as mothers giving birth to children, mothers are dying, others such as cholera. HIV is not the only reason why. Going on to the rights and policies, yes, PNG has a mentality problem. Now, out of the 0.5% that are working, some of you may say yes. Some of you may say yes. They're going to be depressed and they leave, and you can come up with all sorts of things and say that, yeah, what's going to happen to the next? Oh, they're the breadwinners. What's going to happen to their children? Okay, they can go, they basically know that they're HIV patients. They can go and, within the 10 to 15 years time of them, they can plan out their life and say, okay, if I have this estimated number of life expectancy to live, I'm going to set out my family here. Don't tell me Papua New Guinea is like Australia. No, we come from extended families. And when we can, extended families, you can always leave your children with your family members. That's culture. You don't go hungry, mind you. When you are in the village, I know you will go and ask sugar from the other house or your other cousins, basically on sugar. So don't tell me it's like Australia or another country. Thank you. My next point is on solutions. Solutions to HIV. Okay, firstly, you just see HIV as a car then. Okay, basically you tell me, the car. When you're driving a car, do you press on the accelerator to go fast? Yes. Okay, so you are the driver of your own car. If HIV is a decision of choice, how far are you pressing your accelerator? You tell me. The cliff is there and you are here. If you make the wrong choice, you will press on the accelerator and you will go down the cliff. But thank you, there is hope, and I mean there is hope. Before you go down the cliff, unlike AIDS, you have a gate that will surround you, and that is antiretroviral. And that is there to protect you and help probably put some petrol into your car. So basically, it's a mentality problem. It's a mentality problem, and to go back to the statistics of 3.5 million rural people living, yes, we can say all sorts of things and say, yeah, they're not. Yes, it is true. What is the government doing about the basic services? That them not coming to the hospital or them living a life that probably they are going hungry or something like this that leads to them contracting HIV. But mind you, Papua New Guinea is a country full of resources. You cannot say that, yes, I cannot get money, so I will move to the urban centers and go and look for money, first generate income. I'm sorry, you are being neglected, you are being self-reliant. If you can stay back in your village and make something productive out of your land and sell your cash crops rather than looking for fast money, that would make a great difference in the percentage here. So basically, me and my team strongly and firmly believe that HIV slightly affects human resource in PNG, but can never destroy the human resource in PNG. Quote by E.C. Mackenzie says that everyone is liable to make mistakes, but fools practice it. Talking about the productivity years from 16 to 40, if that 16 to 40 people are to die out, you and I are the next generation, and you and I will make up the next productive years. What are you and I going to do about this? Are we going to be the same fools that follow mistakes and contract HIV, or are we going to change by developing our skills and being better people in Papua New Guinea? It's totally up to you now. Thank you.
Thank you. That was the final speaker of the opposing team. Let's put our hands together to the last two teams of Pool B. Now to our question time. Audience, you have your last opportunity for questions. Yes, young man from Naloki.
question is to the opposition team. You stated that HIV positive people are still productive. Yes, that's true, but in today's world, discrimination is a big problem. My question is, what do you think are the chances of an HIV infected patient getting employed when many know he is HIV positive? What are the chances?
Thank you, Lalaki, for your question. I take it into consideration. From my source, National AIDS Council, HIV in PNG, by Dr. John Millen, he has given statistics and, not statistics, I beg your pardon, policies and human rights. Okay, to do with HIV people, every office has already implemented laws, put down policies and human rights that protect the HIV person. And it is illegal to discriminate. It is illegal to discriminate or stigma or discrimination to the person with HIV. Mind you, so I hope you have answered your question. Thank you.
We'll take one more question. Yes, young lady from Jubilee.
Good afternoon, everyone. My question is directed to the opposing team. It was mentioned that HIV and AIDS is a disease of choice. How can you say it's a disease of choice when innocent girls are being raped, innocent babies are being infected by and innocent wives are being infected by the husbands?
Thank you very much for your question. You're talking about rape and unborn children. Firstly, God has given you the sense to differentiate between time. Okay, when we talk about rape, what were you doing at the time at the wrong place with the wrong people? That only shows that you were asking for it. And secondly, unborn children, parents, they are the ones that make decisions to bring the child into this country or into this place. It's not just get them and planted in there. So they have to deal with the consequences of their end product.
Unfortunately, it is not the unborn children's decision or choice to be infected by HIV.
Sorry, can you come up and further state the question?
For the rape, some people are innocently being raped. Say if my uncle comes and rapes me, it is not my decision that I was outside in the middle of the night. And for the babies being born and being infected by HIV, it is not a decision, it wasn't a choice to be infected by AIDS. It was their parents who irresponsibly produced them.
Hello, and I think you have just answered your own question because it is the parent at the first place that didn't. If he would have planned to not have a child, he would have probably used a condom, one of the ABCDs. And out of the rape cases, it is a very small percentage. All I can see is women or whoever that's raped, negligent to be at the wrong place at the wrong time. If you have principles in your family that you are disciplined, I'm sure you won't be there at the wrong time.
Thank you, please. No personal attacks. We're going to have one final question that's going to be directed to the government side. Any question for the government? Okay, thank you.
This question goes to the government side. The topic is HIV does destroy human resource. The final speaker mentioned that the recommendation, aren't you contradicting your view stating HIV does destroy the human resource and that there are solutions to help?
to say that unlike our opposition, we only had about 2 hours to prepare for this debate. So, sorry, could you repeat your question again? I'll try my best to answer.
You mentioned recommendations. Aren't you contradicting your view stating HIV does destroy the human resource and that there are solutions to help?
Well, we're basically going for the topic, and we are saying that HIV does destroy the human resource of Papua New Guinea, and we're basically recommending solutions that we could, or measures that we could take to avoid such destruction to our human resource. Does that answer your question? I'm sorry, I just want to say something and make it clear to you all. Just because the opposing team said that you can have HIV and be able to work doesn't mean you go and catch HIV. Please look after yourself. Thank you.
Thank you, and I believe you can agree with me that the last 2 schools have made this, the ending of today, a very interesting one as well. So please make them, round of applause for them as they leave the stage. Please shake hands with each other. Kila Kila Secondary School and the Salvation Army Secondary School. Participants of Kila Kila Secondary School were Doreen Ugaya, Anna Babani, Liana Bayo, and Cassandra Isa. For Salvation Army Secondary School, the participants were Timothy Rodney, Steve Iweria, Aldridge Ulongo, and Esther Evara. Again, a round of applause to the last 2 schools of Pool B.
Okay, good afternoon. I'd like to also thank all of you for the commitment to stay to these states. As you see, as we come towards the end, the debate gets very interesting. And again, the 2 issues are very important, but the issue before us is a very important issue. The judges are continuing to finalize all the results, but on behalf of the judges and team members, it is important that we appreciate the issues that have been brought before us. HIV and AIDS are also have a high impact on our population in the country, including other diseases. But we have been given the opportunity to think more closely at one of the diseases that is affecting our country. We have been privileged for the debaters to come up with different viewpoints. And again, those viewpoints are quite relevant. We also acknowledge the fact that one of the participating teams had to change topic to fit with the situation, and that also is a sign of commitment. Commitment to the issues, commitment for getting the opportunity for the young people to be able to express and share with us your views. They are very important. And for us, we are privileged that you have come up with the debating issues and the points. Again, like the previous topic, we had to seesaw back and forth because the issue was not a closed one until towards the end. The speakers were quite effective. So we look forward to the final results, but more importantly, we would like to share with you that those that will move forward, we are all winners. All of you are winners in this debate because you have thought very positively about each of the issues and presented your case. So let's applaud. You are winners because you have researched well. You have developed your points well. We take into account that some of you are quite young members of the team as well. But more importantly, we admire the research that went into the presentation and the arguments that were developed and the questions that followed. They were relevant questions. Sometimes they sounded a bit sensitive, but again, we must commend you for the control, and some of the speakers took it very, very sensibly. Those are the issues and characters of public debate, and characters are solutions or ways of dealing with issues in our country. Sometimes there is a tendency for us to go for quick fix, and often quick fix are not always the answers. It's more reasonable argument, it's more on research, it's more about learning what's happened elsewhere and bringing these ideas together and putting a solid point forward that provides us to think reasonably and reach reasonable decisions. So again, I would like to share with you the educating the adjudicators' point of appreciation that we enjoyed the debate as well as learning from your viewpoints. Now please just give us a few minutes as we finalize the result, and we will give to you the names of those schools that will progress forward. And for those that have participated, we would like you to look forward to next year, because we will come back to you for your support, and more importantly, we think this tradition should move forward because we are tapping on the intellectual potential of our young people, and we hope that it will also move forward to include other centers in Papua New Guinea. We have moved on to Ley, and if resources permit, we would want to include other schools in the nation so that we converge on viewpoints that are common and we address issues that affect this nation. On that point, thank you very much. We just request you to be patient. We should be able to announce those who are going forward in a few minutes. Thank you.
Thank you, Dr. Solon. I'll advise you to agree with me that judges have been very patient with us, so please, a big round of applause to the judges. The IBS school debate competition with our presenting partners, the National Broadcasting Corporation and Kundutu, are proud to bring to you this school debate, NCD school debate, and as well as the Ley school debate. We'd like to also acknowledge our sponsors, which are Daltron, Supreme Industries, BSP, Courts, Alamotas, Remington Technology, DataNet, and the National Capital District Commission. I'd also like to thank all the teachers who are here and those who were here yesterday. Thank you for your effort. Please, students, let's give a round of applause for our hardworking team. Are we all ready? Yes. Okay, we'll start with yesterday. I'll start from the top, from 3. Yesterday, the third position was given to Cop College. The second place is Marenville. And the first place is St. Joseph's. For today's round will be, third place is Kila Secondary. And Gerehu, second place. And Kwikila, first place. We are all winners, but we only needed to get 3 from Pool A and Pool B. Can I have 3 members
and Kuikila. Three members from those three schools. You'll have to pick a paper from here which will tell whether you're going to be for or against the topic for the semifinals on Friday. Anyone, but at least three, one from each school. One from Kilakila, one from Kuikila, and one from Gerehu. Okay, before these three students get their pick, I'll just explain to you what's going to happen during the semifinals. We are going to have 6 schools for the semifinals on Friday. So for the third placing, we are going to have the third for Pool B and third from Pool A. Okay? And their topic is going to be agriculture is the backbone to the development of PNG. Okay, the second place is going to be Pool A, second placing, and Pool B, second placing. Their topic is going to be global warming is caused by industrialized nations. And the first placing from Pool A and Pool B will have sovereign fund is ideal during the time of the LNG era. So since these three schools are here, they will take a pick from this container. One of these paper is for and one is against. So we'll start with the first, Kuikila. Take a pick. Open it. It's against. Kuikila will go against. Next school, Gerehu. Okay, Gerehu is 4. Kila. Okay, Kila is 4. Okay, so the second round for the semi-finals is going to be on Friday, the 11th. First placing Pool A and Pool B. Sovereign fund is ideal during this time of the LNG era. Kuikila is going to go against, and St. Joseph's will go 4. Second placing from Pool A and Pool B. Global warming is caused by industrialized nations. Gerehu Secondary is going to go 4, and Marinville is going to go against. And lastly, the third placing for Pool A and Pool B. Agriculture is the backbone to the development of PNG. Hopkok College will go 4, and against is going to be Kila. Kila is going to be 4, and Hopkok will be against. My apologies. Okay, the mistress of ceremony is going to give us a rundown of the program for Friday. Thank you.
First of all, round of applause to all those who made it to the semis. Thank you, and even a louder one to those who were here to make the challenge. Louder one to you very much. For Friday, our program is going to start at 8 o'clock. So we encourage the schools for the semis to come here by 7:30. By 7:30, all schools should be here. So we finished the semi-finals earlier, and so the judges can tally and tell us who will move on to the grand final. So please make yourselves available here by 7:30 on Friday. And in the afternoon, after the finalist debate, we're going to announce the winner and also give out consolation prizes. So if all schools, if you could be here, maybe in the afternoon session as well, we're going to appreciate that. All schools to be here on Friday, please. For those debating in the morning, be here by 7:30. Thank you very much, the judges and everyone that's here who made this day a possible one. And we'll see you all on Friday. Thank you very much.